Alright, another month, another Q&A, so let's kick things off with probably the title of this Q&A, if I had to guess. I haven't made the title yet, so I guess we'll see. So new question for the Q&A. What are your thoughts on Disney buying anime, also trying to make their own anime and releasing it on their platform? So I've talked about this a while back, but we're now more into the whole Disney anime market, so I think it's worth bringing up again. In a perfect world, more and more anime companies having licensing is actually generally good. It's basically like if one game developer has every first-party exclusive, then there's no competition and they dictate the market. A monopoly's never good. The unfortunate thing is that both Netflix and Disney generally are very bad at licensing anime. Netflix, if they're funding something right out of their pocket, they want to drop all the episodes all at once, go ahead. But when you have a simulcast that is denied a simulcast because they won't subtitle it weekly outside of Japan, I mean, you're in a horrible situation. Disney's weird right now because it's kind of like a coin toss. You flip the coin, half the time they seemingly are releasing things weekly, like Tokyo Revengers and all these shows. I mean, Bleach did just fine, but then you also have so many shows like Summertime Rendering, which I don't even know if that ever came out globally, and if it did, it was months later. We harp on Crunchyroll. I mean, damn, at the very least, even if their site be broken, at the very least, a couple hours after Japan, it's a pretty consistent release, right? And I think right now, the two, I think High Dive is like the up-and-comer. I think we look at High Dive, yeah, their site's not the best, but damn, they tell you when shows are coming out. They tell you honest. Like, I feel like I have a better track record with High Dive than I do Crunchyroll anymore. Disney and the mouse, I mean, I don't think they're going to be in it too much longer. Honestly, Disney to me reminds me of Anime Strike, and if anyone remembers what Anime Strike was, that was Amazon's anime company thing that they tried before not continuing it. I think Netflix will stay in it for a long time, just with lesser degrees of simulcasting shows, but rather like, hey, we're going to pay a bunch of money for these exclusive shows, stuff like that. I could see that happening. But Disney, I don't know, maybe they'll continue to get their act together more than they fumble. Personally, if they can simulcast things and advertise things so people know it's on their platform, that's fine to me. But honestly, I would much prefer them and Netflix to not be in the anime game, but that's just how I feel. What are your thoughts on the characters in Scarlet or Violet, Pokemon that is, and do you have any favorites? I like the characters in general. I think the champion was the weakest champion in a long time in Pokemon, but I would look at characters like Arven being one of the best characters I think Pokemon has seen in a long time. Without going too into specifics, I mean, you kind of look at Arven as kind of like is going to be like a rival who's kind of a dick to you, but honestly, Arven's entire desires comes down to helping a sick Pokemon, and just the more you bond with Arven, the more you love Arven. And I'm just like, okay, I wasn't expecting to like the kind of cast dynamic, the central core friend group as much as I ended up doing. But really, I mean, for as much as the bugs were talked about in Scarlet and Violet, the characters in the story was actually fairly decent, and I'm usually not one to care too much about the story or characters in a Pokemon game. I just want to traverse a cool world, because usually it just stems down to some like teenagers or adults trying to bully kids and steal their Pokemon, or we go to god level destruction that is maybe a little hard to take serious. But honestly, the characters are pretty decent. Arven was definitely MVP. What's your favorite season of Digimon? Mine is Tamers Season 3. Now, I've only seen a handful of seasons. I've seen some of the newer stuff, and I've seen the first 3, but I would probably say Season 2 was my favorite. No particular reason, I just really liked how it took what I liked about Season 1 and just kind of made it a bit more intense without really losing the charm of what kind of made me like Digimon Season 1 to begin with. Is an anime/show worth watching if you don't enjoy it? I rarely watch shows with heavy tones or depressing storylines, but it seems like I'm missing out on a good story. I think I've answered similar questions like this before, but I think it's always worth bringing up again. I think no, if you don't like something, you shouldn't force yourself. Now, sometimes this is a hot topic for people because they say, you know, if you get past certain episodes, you really start enjoying it, and sure, everyone has at least something that they can look at that they didn't maybe enjoy too much at the beginning, but they found themselves enjoying. But I look at things as we live a very short life, all things considered, in the grand scheme of the universe. There is so many things out there that you will immediately start enjoying. It doesn't matter if the masses enjoy it, if only you enjoy it, or if everyone does. Is it really worth sacrificing an hour of your time to get to something you might enjoy when you know damn well there's a show that you can immediately start watching? To me, I think life is too short to waste getting to stuff that you might enjoy because someone told you so, and rather it's better to just, you hear a popular show or you hear something mentioned, you tried it, did you enjoy it? Yes, keep watching. Not really? Try the next thing. For me personally, it keeps me in a lot better of a headspace because once you stop trying to make other people happy or get to points so you can feel like you're fitting in, you're just enjoying what you want. If you get a kick out of rewatching the same show 100 times, do that, man. I mean, it's just do what makes you happy. I think if those types of shows aren't for you, don't try to conform to other people's opinions. Do what makes you happy. So these ones all come from Patreon, if I'm not mistaken. I've been rewatching every Ghibli movie after not seeing them for a long time. Just out of curiosity, what's your favorite movie and why? I would always go with My Neighbor Totoro, and there isn't a specific reason for it. Just simply, when I think of, as an example, I'm going to rewind to Pokemon. When people think of Pokemon, they think of Pikachu. Pikachu may not be everyone's favorite Pokemon, but it's something that they always will think about when associating a Pokemon with the series. And for me, when I think of Ghibli, I've only seen the movie 2 times, but it's always the one I can think about the most. I love the design of Totoro. I love just the wholesomeness / the slight darker undertones and everything it can do with it. And I think it's the easiest movie to give to someone maybe not the biggest animation fan and have them get a kick out of it. For me, it's always going to be that. Are there any shows this season you're watching but not for the channel? Angel, I think you're missing out on. I think The Angel Next Door or something like that is the show they're talking about. I've watched a handful of shows like first episodes, basically just trying to figure out what I was going to do for the channel. The only show that I'm going to be planning to watch when the season's over is Handyman Sato in Another World, just because that one looked hilarious from what I saw, and I just knew it would be a good binge. But pretty much I'm at a point after watching seasonal anime a ridiculous amount for a decade at this point. I'm pretty much like, in my free time, I do things other than anime. I play video games, I go to the movies, I watch TV and stuff. So for me personally, as much as there are so many good shows, you just eventually reach a point where you don't want to burn yourself out because then the medium you enjoy so much loses its flavor and fun. So personally, there might be 1 or 2 shows that I wait for the season to be over and then I kind of binge it in my own free time. But for the most part, what I cover on the channel is generally what I am watching in a season. And usually if I want to go outside of like, oh, I want to watch an anime that I'm not covering on the channel, it's usually something that's older that I haven't got around to. And personally, for me, I found that to be a very fun system. Have you been to Japan? And if not, do you have plans to go? Plans to go probably someday, and no, I haven't yet. I mean, both my fiance and I want to go someday, but it's just a matter of like both with our own jobs and timing and stuff, and just the fact that like I don't speak Japanese. I'm never gonna learn Japanese. I have no interest in it, and I know you can get around without it, but just, it's one of those things. It's a bit of a big commitment, and I don't want to force myself to go. When the timing's right, we'll go for sure, and we'll browse the streets and see what it has to offer for sure. Have you ever met a celebrity, musician, or athlete in real life? How was the experience? I've met a lot of sports people. I've met NHL hockey players when I was younger because I'm big into watching sports or anything, but my family always has been, so like they would like have like specialty seats saved for like a whole season. And there's been plenty of times that I've met players. I couldn't tell you the names because I was young and I really just didn't care in the moment. But I mean, as far as experience can go, from when memory serves me, from when I was like 8 and 10, they seemed nice at the time. And in terms of meeting any like big celebrities, not really. I've done like meet and greets for certain bands that I've liked. Like I met the drummer and singer of both 3 Days Grace and Billy Talent. So that was pretty cool. They were awesome. I love that. So not really, but I mean, if you really think about it, they're not really much different than you or I, no matter what you're looking at. So I think the experiences that are bad are generally the people who look at themselves as higher, and all the ones that are good are just, they recognize they're just you or I, right? Do you have an achievement you are most proud of? And if so, why? So I would say my biggest achievement is something that's really helpful for me, and it's what made me have a really good credit score. So when I was in college years back, I mean, basically where I'm from, there's like a grace period of how long your student loan is interest free, right? So I had a year before interest would start piling on. I went and got a job in a tech field, and ultimately I paid off my student loan in full by myself by just grinding at this job. And within a month before the interest started piling on, I had it completely paid off, meaning my credit score was awesome at such a young age, and I had no debt on a ridiculous student loan. So that's an achievement I'm pretty proud of for sure, because it's not like I come from a rich family or anything. I just planned it out financially. I stuck to my guns, and I really limited myself for a year, and I got through it a lot better than a lot of people my age ever would. And that is the questions for this month. If you have any questions you'd like answered in a future Q&A, drop them down below and I might feature them in an upcoming video. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, and hey, consider supporting the Patreon, where there is a lot of live reactions going on if you're interested in that sort of a thing. So, until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.